No. Yes, with a stairwell in the backdrop. My name is Louie Rabaut, and this is BloodHorse Monday, hanging out with Sean Collins. I'm in Detroit. He's in New York. Why not? The things that we do for podcasting. Sean, how are you, buddy? How was the week on the shore in Jersey?
Oh, it was great. I was able to unplug a little bit, relax, lay out on the beach, and now I will say I started getting a little feeling like I was missing out a little bit. I didn't see a horse for several days, which was weird to me. So it was nice to get back and start seeing some horses on Saturday. But it was a great week, great chance to wind down and get ready for the second half of the Saratoga meeting.
I was going to say, you're going to be a busy guy coming up here for sure. A couple of really fun races in the past. I should set up this show before I get going on what happened before. We'll talk with Gabby Gaudet, moving into a new role at Keeneland as the director of communications there. I want to pick her brain a little bit about what she sees as that job moves forward, but also kind of tap into what she's accomplished so far in her career as well. I talk about her as though she's 60 or something, Sean, which is a testament, I think, to Gabby that there's been so much that she's already done and seen and worked on. But of course, 2:30, man. This is halfway through for us. I say 2:30, like people are watching this live with us.
Yeah, like people know what time we filmed
what
this.
Time we actually filmed this.
You just gave it away that we filmed this.
This particular one is being done at this time, but yes. But Perry Ouzts, man, one of the more interesting stories in horse racing this year is him breaking the record for most mounts in North American history at the ripe young age of well into his 70s. Sean, we'll talk to him halfway through the show here. Excited to have Perry on. Appreciate Byron King, by the way, at bloodhorse.com if you want to see all the coverage of Belterra there on Saturday. Sean, do you know the place he ran on his record-breaking mount where they finished?
Belterra Park?
Yeah.
Third place. Third place.
That's exactly right. So there you go. There's your question forever. In which place did he finish in the record-breaking mount? That would be in the money. In the money.
And we got to give him the shout out. He did win the record tying mount as well. So we got to give him that shout out.
Hey, win and then third in the money, both races there back to back. Again, Sean Collins, Louie Rabaut, BloodHorse Monday hanging out with you. We did have a couple of standout performances from the past weekend on the 3-year-old side of things. Of course, the Whitney happens and Sovereignty wins again.
Jim Dandy, you're a week ahead of us.
Oh my God. The other race that ends in Y. I apologize for
the end of the show. We talk about that race at the end of the show, Louie.
End of the show, Louie. I'm just ready for it. That's the problem. I'm really just ready. These handicap division races, I'm just ready for it. But anyway, we get Sovereignty again. And this race reminded me a lot, Sean, of his Florida Derby, where I wasn't sure which version of Sovereignty we were going to get it, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so he runs a huge number. another very fast time, etc. I was thinking about a couple of different things with Sovereignty, but one of them that I would love is if he goes to the Breeders' Cup Classic and runs in the Classic and runs a better time than Flightline did. That would give me so much pleasure and just so much happiness as a horse observer for this guy to just show up and run like a Monarchos type time in the 10 furlongs and just do that kind of thing. But
Who says he won't?
What's that?
Who says he won't?
I think he can. That's kind of my point. Is I think he can. I also think, by the way, Flightline could have, but he was ahead by 30 lengths, so it didn't.
Yeah, there was no need. I don't think Flavian was wanting to do too much there down the stretch.
Exactly right. What's your reaction though to that race from last weekend?
He just knows how to win. Yeah. It's as simple as that. He didn't really need to overextend himself. I loved seeing that he was up closer to the pace, like he was sitting in that second spot. Then he dropped back as everyone else tried to get that jump on him on the backstretch, tried to get ahead of him and see if they could outrun him. And when Junior actually asked him to move forward, I mean, he just inhaled them. It never, like, it was close with him and Baeza down the stretch, but there was never any point down the stretch where I thought he was at any risk. Junior was pretty much wrapped up by the end, even though he only won by a length. Right. So I mean, he just keeps on winning, and you can't fault him for that. And I did like seeing that kind of being able to sit close, drop back, and then still be able to come on and run. That was something I've mentioned that I've liked about journalism, that I've liked about Burnham Square throughout the years, their ability to make those multiple runs. He's showing that as he's developing and as he's maturing, I don't think it matters what running style he has anymore. I don't think you can just call him a deep closer anymore. I think he can do whatever the race desires him to do.
Did Baeza take a step forward? Did he get better this race here, Sean? Yeah, you think so?
I think so. Yeah, definitely. I think he's developing, and I give big shout out to him. There's, talking to the horsemen on the backstretch, talking to fans of the sport.
People love that horse. Yeah.
People love that horse, but it goes to show you how good he is, but also how good sovereignty and journalism are.
Top of the group.
These three horses are considered by a lot of the horsemen to just be simply a step above the rest of the crop, and it's a pretty good crop once you get past them too. But
Yeah.
Baeza still hasn't won a graded stakes race, and yet
I
he
know.
has run well enough against these two horses to
He's
where he
eligible.
is considered by everyone else to
Yeah.
be a step above, and he hasn't gotten that stakes win yet. So
He's
shout out to him. He ran huge. They were well clear of third place.
stakes win. Dude, he's eligible for non-twos, man. What are you
I know.
talking about?
Might as well go do it while you still have the condition, right?
Pick 80 at Del Mar tomorrow. Yeah, right. I can never tell because of how you talked about sovereignty, if Baeza actually took a step forward here or not. That's the only difficult part for me. I know what I have with sovereignty as far as my brain is, processing and looking at him and watching him and all those things. I feel like I know what sovereignty is. Baeza is the difficult one for me to figure out. And I don't know if it's a simple as, if we saw this horse in a West Virginia Derby or something, he'd be the favorite and he'd win by 100. Or if we saw him in, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the other race where he fits, Sean, but I cannot quite figure out what Baeza is going to do, where he's going to cap out at, I guess.
Well, I think the reason why I say he took a step forward was because it seemed like he was taken out of his game a little bit in this race. You could tell that they knew they had sovereignty to beat and they were trying to beat him. I think they made a little bit of an early move to try to get ahead of sovereignty. They were calling on him a little bit earlier to try to keep that versus we've seen in the Derby and the Derby and the Belmont. He was behind sovereignty as they were coming down the stretch. The Derby, they were kind of side by side until he got stopped in some traffic. And so I think they tried that strategy with him, and it worked for the most part. I mean, obviously they didn't win the race, but he still ran a huge race. So I thought they took him out of his game a little bit, and he still ran huge. He still gave sovereignty a lot to handle in the stretch, which is why I say why I'm confident with saying he did take a step forward in that respect.
Yeah. Baeza, a good second there. We saw Lovesick Blues become a grade 1 winner. My favorite stat about him, he broke his maiden in mixed company with quarter horses in Louisiana.
Really?
That is how Lovesick Blues began his career. I wrote it another place in a race preview that I loved his inclusion in this race, Sean. Catch this. Put him in your exactas, folks. He might hit the board here. I think he's got a big shot. I did not have him winning. And I didn't have him winning in spectacular fashion. Let me be
fair. Did you have the exacta?
I did have the exacta. So that part's good.
There you
go. But the Bing Crosby itself, and I want to say this because I want to be very careful about my words. There are lots of different kinds of grade 1s. And the Bing Crosby is one that elevates horses that may be stakes winners already, but elevates them in those moments to grade 1. I think of no one better than that than the Chosen Vron, who for years was a Cal-bred masterpiece of picking off, $100,000 races, $75,000 races, whatever. And never, by the way, never a criticism from me. If owners, connections, whatever, want to pick off those state bred races, go get your money. Go win your races for sure. But when he moved into that company and then backed it up by winning again, that's when we knew the Chosen Vron was legitimate. And the Bing Crosby, for some reason, rather than any of those favorites that had higher level, Roll on Big Joe's a 2-time grade 3 winner, right? Coming into that race. Lovesick Blues hadn't tried the dirt this year, right? I mean, since moving to Baracio's barn, that's a horse that just had been running on the turf and only at Santa Anita, shows up at Del Mar, gets on the dirt. Now, because of the conditions in Southern California, you see a lot of horses switching surfaces for sure. But just, a remarkable story here, Sean. What comes to mind for you when you see Lovesick Blues win a grade 1?
I was surprised. Yeah, he's one of those horses where you kind of had to do a double check on Equibase and be like, wait, where is this horse been running as they came down the lane there? But it was so nice to see. Obviously, Librado was very emotional after the race. That was nice to see him celebrating. That's a huge accomplishment for any trainer, but to do it on that stage, get the Breeders' Cup win and you're in on top of it, such a great moment for him. And so that was the part that I really enjoyed, was kind of watching that celebration. And I love when we get these big long shots in these big races. Sometimes it really helps to shake things up.
Yeah, and with Librado too, he's having a nice year in Southern California. So this was sort of a an exclamation point on what else is going on out there for him as well. Nisos, man, showed up, did the thing in the San Diego handicap as well at Del Mar, Sean. I expect him to stay on the West Coast. He's an obvious candidate for the San Diego, or excuse me, for the Pacific Classic now. And are we allowed to dream now? You know, because we've had the conversations about who's probably going to go to the Traverse. And I think we'll have lots of good horses in the Traverse, including the aforementioned Sovereignty. I think there's a chance at least, and this is on bloodhorse.com, by the way, right now, connections around journalism saying, hey, we got to wait a couple weeks to make a decision. I'm not calling anyone any names or anything else, but I'm just assuming that means we're going to get settled back in. It's been a lot of travel, a lot of grade ones, a lot of very good races from our horse. Time for him to chill out a little bit and time to look at that Pacific Classic. Are we allowed to dream about a journalism Nisos Pacific Classic? Oh my God, Sean, I'm just with how the Whitney's shaping up. And I'm soaking all of it. I'm soaking in all of it. All of it. Oh man, oh man. All of it.
Well,
Hi, Sean.
This is one of those things. When I was thinking yesterday about thinking back on Sovereignty's win in the Jim Dandy, one of the things I thought about is, man, we are really lucky in this sport this year to have what we have. Because remember, we came into the year talking about how great the 4-year-old division was going to be because of how many of those horses were coming back this year, between Fierceness, Sierra Leone, Nisos being one of those. And to see on the East Coast the field that we have for the Whitney, to see Nisos out there on the West Coast, to know in the 3-year-old division we have Sovereignty, Journalism, Baeza, we are really spoiled this year. And then when you step away from that, look at all the other divisions as well. The turf division looks fantastic, both on the male and the female side this year. The sprinting divisions look fantastic this year as well. When we get to the Breeders' Cup in November, I mean, it's going to be a show of stars that entire weekend with the amount of horses that we have, top horses that we have that are in the game right now. And it's really a really lucky time for us. So yeah, get excited for that Nisos versus Journalism. If that's the first time we get to see one of these big 3-year-olds go up against older horses,
right,
that's going to be one hell of a race for sure.
I actually don't know the conditions off the top of my head. Is the Whitney 4 and up or is it 3 and up?
I think it's 3 and up because didn't Secretariat run in the Whitney?
Okay, so that's an interesting question. Do you wish Sovereignty were running in the Whitney instead of having run in the Jim Dandy?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
That would have been awesome. But I understand why he's not. If your goal is the Travers, why wait the extra week?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Why wait the extra week and face
That's a good point too.
Yep.
That's a good point too. Maybe hurt his confidence, maybe if he doesn't fire as well as he wanted to, or he sees Fierceness as
he would have won, but
Yeah,
I'd say that. Just like I'm confident if Journalism goes Pacific Classic, I'm taking Journalism over Nisos. I'll say that now.
Journalism over Nisos. I like that prediction. That's how you do that. All right. Well,
I told you before, I think top 2 horses in the country, Sovereignty and Journalism, any age. So we'll see.
Very consistent on those things. That's exactly right. All right. Well, Gabby's here. Let's get Gabby in here. Joins us from Keeneland. How about that? I get to say that out loud. How about that? Gabby Gaudet, new director of communications. Big smile over that one there at Keeneland. Gabby, you got to be excited. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Yes, it's been an absolute whirlwind, to say the least, since last week when the news came out. I was expecting a little bit, but definitely not to the extent that has been over the course of the past couple of days. But it's very exciting. Obviously, I have felt a range of emotions between closing this chapter, a little bit of sadness, closing the chapter at FanDuel and opening this new door at Keeneland. Very, very excited. Bittersweet, I guess, is the right word to use, but extremely excited for the next chapter.
What goes into that process of deciding on the next chapter? I think that's as I fly decides to join me on screen here. What goes into that decision to move from the broadcast side to the communication side for you?
A couple of things. I think first and foremost, it's a lifestyle change for me moving forward because I live in Louisville, Kentucky. During the winter and the summer, it became increasingly difficult. I was always going to have to travel. I mean, even going back to when I had my first son, I moved out there for the entire summer at Del Mar, and he was a couple months old, and Norm, my husband, was at Saratoga. I went to Del Mar all by myself. He flew back and forth often, but I mean, it's just kind of, that's one of many examples. I think when I first came back from maternity leave with my first son as well, he was 3 months old, and we moved to Arkansas and spent the winter at Oaklawn. And so when I came back from maternity leave, I worked at Oaklawn, and he was there as well. So it's just been life on the road, juggling a lot. That, I think, was a huge part of the decision. And secondly, I am really excited about this. I think from my position, having worked in television and FanDuel, and even prior to that, the Fox shows at Naira, I have been able to see a lot of things that have been going on that sometimes can be frustrating even, and exciting at the same time. But I want to be part of, I'm excited about being a voice in this industry moving forward, and maybe being part of a positive change.
Now, you mentioned earlier, maybe a little surprising, the response that you got. Probably a lot of that was the fact that it's Keeneland. That's kind of one of the peaks of the sport, is being involved with Keeneland. How excited are you to just be part of the Keeneland family officially now? I know you've been there many years broadcasting, but to officially be part of that Keeneland family moving forward.
I can't emphasize that enough. I've worn a lot of hats for Keeneland thus far. Obviously, the simulcast, Scott Hazelton and I, we've done the Today at Keeneland show. We've done the simulcast in the afternoon. That's been ongoing for the past several years. Also was announcing at the sales. I've done a lot for them, as well as a U.S. sales representative. And in that, I have met all of the people within the organization. And I've also seen things change over the past several years as well at Keeneland. And I love the team there. I love the broadcast team that I've been able to work with. Krista, Marilla, Shannon Arvin. I mean, these are women that are so good at what they do, and I have so much respect for them. And that was another big part of this decision, was the ability to learn from people like them. And I'm jumping at that opportunity.
Gabby Gaudet with us, the new director of communications there at Keeneland. Quote, Gabby has been an integral part of the network for over 6 years, and she will be deeply missed by both her colleagues and the FanDuel TV audience. And when you, we'll do the sappy stuff first here. We'll get it out of the way, Gabby. But when you hear those kinds of words from folks that I know you really respect, what does that drum up on you?
Yeah, I think that quote was from my current boss, and Becky Somerville. She has had my back for like the last several years as I've tried to navigate these waters. And I got so much support from her, so much support from our executive producer and Chris Lee, so much support from high atop the ladder there in FanDuel, and everything working its way down. My coworkers have been, when I say that, I know a lot of people say this, but they truly are like a family. We love and hate each other all at the same time. But we have deep, deep friendships that go way back. And when you're on the road with people, you share a lot of memories, and that definitely has been the case with some of my coworkers at FanDuel. So that is certainly a very sad chapter to close. However, I'm still around. I keep telling them this. I'm like, I'm probably going to see you more often.
Right. Oh, that's the other part. Yeah,
it's not like I'm leaving this earth. I'm here.
Oh, I know. You're retiring or something. I was joking with Sean at the early part of the show, Gabby, that I was talking about you like you were 70 or something. Yeah. all the jobs you had before. And I'm like, that's not what's happening here. And so Gabby got that with us. I wanted to ask, because it is mentioned in the release at Keeneland, at least, that you're going to continue as a co-host of Today at Keeneland alongside Scott Hazelton, who you mentioned. What went into that decision-making process? Was that hey, I'd still like to do this, or did Keeneland want you in that role? Did Scott ask for it? How did that happen?
I think it was kind of all of the above. That show has just become so popular. It's crazy. When we're at Keeneland, we have so many people approach us and say, we love Today at Keeneland. And so we really thought that would be a big loss if we cut that show. So we're certainly going to be doing that. And in the afternoon, I'm still going to have a bit of a presence, especially on big days. but more so from a journalistic standpoint, not necessarily from a hardcore handicapping standpoint. So you might be seeing a couple more interviews, definitely post-stakes interviews, but maybe even pre-race interviews. And that's kind of the pivot that we're taking, at least in my role on the simulcast. But that today at Keeneland, as of now, we got to keep it going because it's such a great show and the broadcast team do such a phenomenal job with it.
Well, you mentioned some of the changes that your new position is going to make on that. But is there anything from your time as a broadcaster, any ideas that you want to bring into your role as a communications director that maybe weren't there before?
Absolutely. It's hard because Keeneland is the gold standard of everything that they do. And Amy Gregory did such a phenomenal job for so many years in that role. I'm really excited to kind of pick her brain and try to figure out how this thing has functioned and see how we can move forward with it. But in my role as a broadcaster, number one, just being able to tell stories, I miss that. And I'm excited to do that a little bit more, whether it be internally or externally, definitely within the industry, and be able to hopefully establish, a network of relationships with local national media and help share those stories. Next year is going to be huge with the Breeders' Cup coming back to Keeneland. That's involved with that. And then even sometimes when just being able to disseminate information correctly and quickly, sometimes the nature of our sport, crazy things can happen for better or for worse, and being able to give that information to media outlets in a streamlined manner. I think that has sometimes been a really frustrating thing being on air, is that you kind of sometimes get bits and pieces of information, and this is a live thing and it's all happening in real time, and you just wish that there was a more streamlined process in getting all of that information up to the minute. So that's kind of one thing of many things that I'll be focusing on. But guys, my brain is just going. I have so many ideas. And I think that was part of the process, and me saying yes to this position, and also Keeneland reaching out to me in the beginning, and then the evolution of what this role could become. We started brainstorming ideas, and we kind of came to the conclusion that this is a great fit, and we're really excited about some of the things that we can do.
Gabby Gaudet with us, new communications director there at Keeneland. I look a horse player, so I think of the racing at Keeneland first, but certainly when you visit the property, it's impossible not to think about the sales. Not necessarily, I shouldn't even say that. It's not a new arena for you at all, frankly. But dealing on the sales side of things, what challenges do you think that brings for you?
I think the sales, and speaking from firsthand experience, when I first started to dip my toe into the sales world, I was extremely overwhelmed, to say the least. There's so many moving parts. It's very fast paced. And with a sale like the Keeneland September sale, where you have thousands of yearlings and you have so many people attending the sale as well, it's definitely, number one, there's so many wonderful stories to tell within that, whether it be the buyers, the sellers, the breeders, and being able to kind of tell that story and then follow up on it, even connecting the dots a couple years down the road as well. But also just providing information, maybe opening a door to people. I mean, I've seen folks come out to the sale that are interested in buying horses, and they just also look somewhat overwhelmed. Okay. So just being able to kind of help guide that narrative and provide information and tell the stories. I mean, I am happy that I have some experience in the sales world. Otherwise, this would seem like a huge mountain to climb. Right. But now that I have had that experience over the past, I would say 4 or 5 years, I feel much more confidently about that part of the role.
Yep. I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize, is how much is involved with Keeneland on the racing side, the sales side, everything that goes with that. But you also hinted at it earlier, got the Breeders' Cup coming up next year. How excited are you to, one, tackle that challenge, but two, just be involved with an event like that?
Oh, I'm so excited. I've obviously worked with Breeders' Cup to a certain extent in the past, whether it be actually many moons ago working for Breeders' Cup doing the World Feed. I did a couple of those shows, and then establishing some of those relationships with Breeders' Cup, even through FanDuel. Very excited for them to come. I'm glad that it's next year because it gives me some time to get my feet underneath of me, and then I can kind of tackle that. We're just kind of taking it step by step, but the team at Keeneland is amazing. It's a very collaborative environment, and I feel that if I don't know the answer to something, I can call someone or schedule a meeting with someone, and we can collectively find the answer to it. So it definitely seems like I have a bit of a safety net as I make this transition. But Keeneland, Breeders' Cup next year, very exciting. And then we also have the construction that's going on. So yeah, there are big things in the near future for Keeneland, and I'm excited about it.
You're coming into a spot at Keeneland that's part of a wider 5-track circuit here within the state of Kentucky. You want to say something nice about Darren Rogers, or are we going to shove him aside? What are we doing here? What's going on? No, but the other teams in the state too. I mean, Kevin Kirstein and other people that are, involved in the other tracks. It's a good group, and frankly, a seasoned group that you're walking into.
Oh, I love them. I'm very close. My husband and I are very close with Kevin Kirstein, very close with Darren Rogers. We all go way back. And yeah, I hope they don't mind, but I'm going to be picking up the phone and calling Darren probably a lot to get some advice along the way. And it's funny because I have been able to network with individuals either currently in this role or previously in this role at different racetracks throughout the world, really. So I think that's also amazing that I can kind of, if I am stuck in a situation or I have an idea, to kind of bounce ideas off of people within this industry. I mean, I'm really excited about that. And I'll be leaning on Darren and all the other people to help me through in the early days.
Been forewarned, gentlemen. She's calling. All right. Well, she's Gabby Gaudet, new director of comms down there at Keeneland. Well, I am sure we will run into you very soon. Really appreciate you jumping on. Congratulations. And I know as a father of 4 myself, that some stability is always welcome. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me on.
No problem. There you go. Gabby Gaudet.
Congratulations.
And we will, I'm sure, be seeing her much, much more as we move along going forward. We're going straight into Perry. I like that. Are we doing that? We're going straight into Perry Ouzts. I like this. This is a great, look at that edit. Straight into the Iron Man himself. Perry Ouzts joins us here on BloodHorse Monday. Why not lock it in? Sir, Perry, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing great, man. Unbelievable. Sean, go ahead. I'm going to let you go.
Well, first of all, congratulations on just, the career that you've had. For those that don't know that are watching this, you just passed on Saturday the record for most rides by any jockey in North America. I guess just first off, what does that record mean to you personally?
Well, it means I spent a lot of time in the saddle.
It also means, Perry, that you had a lot of people who really trusted you with their horses, with their, with their investments and all of that kind of thing throughout the years. Great owners, I'm sure, great trainers trusting you with their great equine athletes. Which ones stand out to you?
Probably too many to mention. Like I said, I've been doing this for 52 years, so yeah, it's been a lot.
Well, what was it when you were a young 18-year-old first getting in the saddle, first riding in races? What was it about the sport that got you hooked?
Well, I was always real small when I was a kid, and I had a cousin who was a jockey. And I just thought that would be the greatest job in the world because I liked horses ever since I was a kid. And I just thought riding horses would be great, make a living at it. And when I graduated from high school, my cousins, they called me and said, come up to Chicago and we'll make a jockey out of you. So 7 days after graduation, I was on the racetrack.
There's something about this sport, Perry. We just we lost the great Wayne Lucas this year at 89 years young, still getting on a horse every day. Tell us, what is it about getting on a horse every day that you guys just can't seem to get enough of?
I guess you get wind therapy from it.
Yeah. I think that's right. I think there is something therapeutic about that connection with a horse and all those kinds of things. Perry, do you does that number mean a lot to you as far as getting to the record? Does it matter, or do you see it more as just, hey, this is what I love doing, so I'm just going to keep doing it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I think that's a reasonable approach, and I appreciate that very much. When you see, and I don't know if you see this, but or maybe you hear it, but when you see the push from around horse racing, especially from horse players, for you to be included in the Hall of Fame, what does that mean to you? And do you think you should be a Hall of Famer?
I don't really give that much thought. I always tell the people who have control of that, I said, they're saving me a lot of money, because if I got inducted to the Hall of Fame, I'd have to fly my whole family up there and make a big deal out of it. So they're saving me money. So, that's something I don't really, it doesn't bother me one way or the other. You know, if they want to do it, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine too. And like I said, I don't lose a bit of sleep over it at all.
Well, you know,
hey,
a lot of times
I'm a Hall of Famer in my own mind, so there you go.
There you go, Perry.
That's all that matters, right?
That's it. Yeah.
You've heard that. Well, you know, you've been riding in that Cincinnati area on that circuit. Belterra Park's your home. You ride at Turfway during the winter. A lot of times people kind of make that reference of sometimes it's better to be a big fish in a small pond than a small fish in a big pond branching out. What is it about that circuit that you really enjoy and that's been so successful for you over the years?
Well, I like to win. That is my favorite thing of the horse racing part. I just very competitive, and I just like to win. It's like Russell Baez. He was a good rider, and he could go to Southern California and he could ride with the best of them, but he couldn't win 4 or 5 a day in Southern California. So he went back because he just loved to win. And that's the same thing I do. The winning part's more important to me than, you know, making a bunch of money or making a big splash on the big stage. So I just always stayed around here because people always rode me a lot and I always won a lot. So, and I got to sleep in my own bed every day. So
seems underrated. I'm agreeing with you. Perry Ouzts here on BloodHorse Monday. Appreciate him jumping on after breaking the North American record for most mounts in a career. Tell us, how much longer can you do this, do you think? And how much longer do you want to do this?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I've been trying to quit for 3 years now, and I'm still here every day. So, yeah, I have no idea. It'll probably be one of them days when I just wake up and don't feel like going to work, and probably won't tell nobody nothing. I just won't show up for work one day.
That's like the movie. I don't know, Sean, if you're old enough to have seen a movie called Good Will Hunting, where it just shows up and the Will character is just gone. That's going to be Perry. He's just going to not show up to work someday, and everybody at Belterra is just going to have to deal with it. Does that sound about right, Perry?
Yeah, it's pretty much, yeah.
Well, Perry, I also wanted to ask you about your relationship with Pat Day, a jockey probably a lot of people know from his success in the Triple Crown races. He was up at Belterra to help you celebrate that monument that you had. Just what has your relationship been like over the years?
Well, I've known him for, I don't know, 50 years probably or more. Me and him had the bug at the same time. We started out the same year, yeah. He didn't remember me when I was in Chicago, but I remember when he came in. We was riding at Sportsman's Park, and I heard everybody mentioning his name and stuff, and I didn't really think nothing of it because, you know, I was a bug rider and he was a bug rider, and about, I don't know, 5-6 years later, he's on top of the world, you know, and I just ran into him all the time at Churchill, and, you know, and we'd always talk and everything, and he's just such a gentleman, that guy. I mean, he is just, talk about an ambassador for horse racing. That's him. But yeah, he came up for my 7,000 win, you know, and I just thought that was really cool that he would take the time out of his day, you know, to come up and root me on and stuff. And yeah, like I said, we've been good friends, I guess, 50 years.
Jockey Perry Ouzts with us here. Go ahead.
Do you ever tease him about the fact that you're still going and he's not?
No.
Add that to the resume. That's right. Perry, you know, Larry Smith is the source of many of your mounts. And, you know, I think people could see that and think, oh, maybe Larry's not. No, he wins at 27%. He hits the board at 64% with his trainees. Talk about your relationship with Larry Smith. Seems to be a really good one.
Yes, I started riding for him, I guess, about 10 years ago. And he turned out to be one of the best guys that I ever rode for because he's very loyal. He doesn't get upset when horses run bad. This is his philosophy. If a horse runs bad, he's like the favorite, 8-5. He said, well, we'll check him out back at the barn. We can't find nothing wrong with him. We'll just get rid of him, let somebody else worry about him. And that's him every day. I mean, he is just so laid back and so, just relaxed in his training. And he just does very, very well because he places his horses good. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of like me. He don't really do this to make a living. He does it for fun, because he had a job where he worked all of his life, and he retired from the Ford plant, and now he just does this for fun. He said, don't get me wrong, I don't want to lose money at it. He said, but this ain't how I pay bills. He does it because he enjoys winning, and that's pretty much the same way I do. I do it because I still enjoy the winning part.
And you mentioned doing things for fun. I know you also like riding your motorcycles as well. Is it something about the wind in your hair, the wind hitting your face between the motorcycles, the horses? What is it that you enjoy about this?
I think it's the speed. Like with the horses, the same thing, just fast horses, fast motorcycles, and fast cars. That's the way I've always been my whole life. I've always drove like a sports car, always drove a motorcycle, always tried to get the fast horses. Sometimes that didn't work, but that's for another day. Yeah.
Blazing Tony and So Far So Good on the day that you break the record. So Far So Good is going to have to be that horse that all of us remember for future random nights at the bar trivia questions about horse racing, I'm sure. Right. So Far So Good, is that a way to sum up your career? You got another like 50 years in you? What are we doing here? So far, so
I don't think 50 years. I go day by day now.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Perry, we appreciate it very much. Congratulations. Just an unbelievable record. Who is the most surprising person to reach out to you about it, do you think?
Like I said, Pat Day, I thought.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
He showed up. I'd heard that morning I was doing a radio interview, and somebody had said in the background that Pat Day had asked him what time was this going to go off, and he was going to be there. And that's the first I'd known of it.
Wow.
So, yeah,
very cool.
But I kind of thought he would because, like I said, he came up from a 7,000 win, and like I said, we just been good friends for a lot of years, but still, that's taking time out of your life to do, So yeah, I felt pretty special.
That's awesome. All right. Well, Perry, congratulations. Thanks so much for joining us here at BloodHorse. And hey, let's a couple more 1,000 mounts will be okay. Get to 10,000. 10,000 mounts here. We can do it.
Hey, if I could get like 400 more rides, I could be 54,000. That would be pretty cool.
I like that.
There you go.
Might be another goal I could set for myself.
Goals around here. There you go. Well, Perry, appreciate it very much. And enjoy working those horses this week. Good luck at Belterra.
All right. Thank you.
We'll see you. There you go. Perry. Why not? All right. From Gabby Gaudet, Perry Ouzts, we have the best game in the world. It's not close. I'm sorry. We do. It's the best. It's the best game in the world. It's not close.
Yeah. He said he's going day by day, but he said he's going day by day. I have a feeling he's still going to be riding for a while. That's what I got out of this.
Very smart. That's the other part of this is he breaks the record, and we are tens of thousands of mounts into the man's career. He's in the money in both of those races and wins one of them. I mean, this is not, they're not just.
Yeah, they're not just throwing him out there.
Yeah. We need some. Is there anybody here in the stands that can ride a horse today? That ain't what happened. That's happening here. He's winning races still and doing all the stuff. And man, just an incredible career to this point. If people don't know, that is now 53,579 starts with 7,515 winners. 7,500 trips to the winner's circle. There's nothing wrong.
He said he likes winning.
Yes, he does. He did it just the other day. So again, congratulations to Perry Ouzts on all of that, incredible numbers and all of the things. So I'm very, very happy for him. And frankly, he's one of those guys, Sean, that just it's an easy to root for sort of guy too. Just, hey, this is what I like to do. I'm just going to keep doing it. And all of us can at least relate to that part.
Oh yeah, exactly.
For success at that level and that kind of longevity, no, I cannot relate to that in anything that I do. So yeah,
And he's so popular around the circuit too. Every time I go up to Turfway and he's riding, I always hear people saying, "Oh, Perry's riding today." And same thing, and, with a couple times I go up to Belterra, I've been able to see him riding there too. But it's everybody in that circuit when he's riding. It's everybody's talking about it. Everybody's watching to see if he can pull off another win. He's been doing it for a long time. He knows how to do it.
oh, that's exactly right. And back to Gabby, just I know we went interview to interview. I'm interested because she did keep that part of the show. And by the way, I want to be clear. That is a good decision on her part. Like that's a popular show and they need to keep that moving. Her and Scott are very good together. Anything else stand out to you outside of that?
Nah, her excitement to be in this role. That was the main thing that came through to me was how excited she was to be taking on this new challenge. I feel like for a lot of people that maybe are not involved as much in the media side of things in their careers, they don't realize that a director of communications, it is a lot of print background usually. And so to be coming in as a broadcaster, that is a challenge. And she's really excited to take on that challenge. I think she's going to do a phenomenal job in this. Sounds like she's already got a lot of great ideas already, but that just her excitement level, her interest, that's something that, is definitely going to carry her forward. That was the main thing that stood out to me.
Yeah, I think that part. And the other part is, and I appreciated her doing this. I think people don't realize that FanDuel lifestyle of that. I just had to be a Del Mar.
Yeah.
New baby, husband's in Saratoga. Congratulations, you're in San Diego. And it's just that is the lifestyle. And I think people kind of, I don't want to say they underestimate it, but they perhaps just don't know about it, right? It wouldn't be something that would be on your radar unless you had, been in that situation. And so I'm always amazed at how different aspects of the industry work that way. But it's interesting too, because her story isn't dissimilar. We had Dan Illman on a couple of weeks ago from the Maryland Jockey Club, and he's their director of comms, and not dissimilar things where there was just a desire to be in one place, right? To just kind of be in one spot rather than moving around. And, you hear these stories. I mean, I remember when our kids were younger and they were at a school and there was the trainer's kids who also went to that school, and they had a plan set up because 4 months a year, the kids went to school in New Orleans. Right. And that was the life. And so when you hear someone like Gabby with young children, it also kind of hits home. Okay, we can have a base. She mentioned she lives in Louisville, have a base in Louisville. And then Norm can, her husband can train where he needs to train and do those things. And she can be in a spot where she can still work, be in the industry, but, is able to have that stability as well. So I think that'll be good for her. But you're right, that her obvious enthusiasm came through very clearly.
Yeah. And, everybody, to your point there, everybody watches TV and you just see, the people on FanDuel TV, they pop up at one track, they pop up at another track, and you don't realize how much behind the scenes stuff they have to move around in order to be able to be on California one day and Kentucky the next, to be in New York and all these things as well. This is the kind of stuff that we have to deal with in an industry like this, because it always changes where the big races are, where you need to be. And so just like you said with Dan Illman out in Maryland, a lot of times it's just being able to settle down like you need to do right now, as that fly is continuing to,
this is the fly
continuing to pester you as we go throughout this episode here. You're distracting me now from whatever I was going to say there. But
so there you go. All right, let's bring in Frank Angst. Frank got to write a piece because I did an interview. So that's a good reason to bring in a man in front of a book. But I'm kidding, of course. Frank Angst, of course, BloodHorse.com. Go check out his dollars and cents column. This is actually from last week now, Frank, but it's based on some of the comments from Dennis Drazin, who's in the management team there at Monmouth Park, and a bit about fixed odds and different things. Sean and I were talking off air, and I think Sean doesn't mind if I do this, but Sean is a holding on to parimutuel and parimutuel only guy and these things. And I get it. I'm a parimutuel guy as well, but the fixed odds, Dennis laid out a very good case, I thought, last week for it, Frank, on this show. And essentially, as younger people in his mind get introduced to wagering at all through sports and they get used to a fixed odd, they're going to want that for sports or for horse racing as well. Excuse me. What I was surprised at the reaction that we got, Frank, and this is why I wanted to talk to you, is how viscerally people respond to fixed odds. They are so married and so devoted to parimutuel, which I understand. But it is remarkable to watch, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it both ways, and people can't understand why racing hasn't moved to this sooner, and others that very much want pari-mutuel to continue to take the lead. I personally think both can flourish and work together to build interest in the sport, which is the main goal. And first of all, I wanted to say terrific interview with Dennis, and I was looking for a column idea, and I was like, boy, we can bring some more attention to this terrific interview you did, and some of the things. Dennis always has terrific ideas and thoughts, and it's always good to hear him. He's one of the more thoughtful people in the sport, especially on the gaming side, and well, really on every side. Monmouth Park's doing a lot of good things and has for a while, and try to keep that track going strong, which it is.
Yeah, he mentioned, they're putting in the $20 million investment into the sportsbook side of things. And it is something, Frank, as a guy who lives here in the middle part of the country in Kentucky, we don't see that brick and mortar sportsbook doing well. Sean, you've been there. There's people in there all the time. And I was talking with, I bought an iced coffee on the first floor on Friday ahead of the Haskell Eve there. And I was chatting up the guy at the stand, and he said on football Sundays, you can't move around Monmouth Park because there are so many people in and out of there. And it's an interesting spot, Frank, because they very clearly, it's not a racino in that sense where there's slots and there's that kind of stuff, but they have made it into a place where, simply put, you are wagering on sports, whether it be sports or horse racing. And I think it's an interesting model. And I asked him, do you think it's replicable around the country? And he said, absolutely. And my hope is that it is.
I mean, obviously the casinos know what they're doing. They continue to build massive hotels and massive casinos, and every one of those that you step in where they have it, they always have the sports betting and the horse betting side by side. Poker's usually right there too. So all of these are kind of games of skill where you're competing against other people. Sports betting is a game against the house, but it's still sort of if most people think the Washington Commanders are going to win, then you can get value on whoever they're playing. So even though it technically goes through the house, and really that's what the fixed odds wagering would be. I think Dennis was spot on, and that New York very much wanted to focus on getting Belmont, the new Belmont in place and all that going, which they have. And I think they are. And they've, Dennis, David O'Rourke has been a proponent of fixed odds wagering. And I think Naira's focus is very much on that right now. One of the things they're focused on, they do have to have a law change in New York to make that happen. But hopefully it becomes reality. I mean, I think one thing that people forget is that fixed odds is always going to be really a win type bet. We're always going to need the pick fours and pick fives and all those types of exotic wagers. But I think it is fun to have a fixed odds wager. You can do more with future wagers. A Kentucky Derby wager could be on every 3-year-old in the country that they want to give odds on. Churchill Downs, I know, is concerned about opening things up like that because they don't want to. They want to continue to have their own, and I understand that. You don't want to lose control of that. So it has to be well thought out. I'm completely certain of that has to happen. Right. But I just feel like there can be a model that works, and we've seen it work in other countries where the win betting can shift quite a bit to the fixed odds side, and we can still have successful exotic wagers. And what I really believe is there's a whole market out there. I mean, everybody with an app that is betting all these sports, they're being trained, and that's one of the hardest hurdles for horse racing is, how do I bet? Well, the good news is right now a whole generation's being trained in how to do that. And while it's not the exact same, it is very similar. You're looking for value, and when you think there's that value in the odds, you take them. So I think racing should take more advantage of that. The sports betting platforms have done some of that. They've launched some horse racing apps that are closely tied with the sports betting apps, and they're doing some promotion of that. But ideally, horse racing would be right there with all the other sports, and you could have some cross sports wagers where you bet on the Cincinnati Reds and the 5th race at Ellis Park and some American League game. However you want to do it. Which
you brought up a pick 4
every day with every other sport.
Right. Yeah, he brought up a pick 4 with a Mets game or something in it. I think that's fun, man. I really do hope we get to that point. I was trying to ask him, and I obviously didn't formulate the question properly, but I wanted to know if there was a way for, fixed odds to actually turn a profit for tracks, right? Where there would actually be, like it is in sports betting, like it's legitimately profitable for the sports books. If there was a way to do that, and then you could lower takeout on exotic bets that are parimutuel, right? Like that kind of thing where it could even out over time and that sort of thing. And then we see more money in both of those pools. I'm not sure, but
it's a challenge because in general, the outlets that are taking sports bets are not paying those sports. They're just in it to take that money. And horse racing needs to be more than that. This has to support purses and has to support the racetracks that are putting on the show. I think it can be done. I mean, there's opportunities there. When you look at the pricing of some of our signals, which we've written about that too, and the good news is the pricing has gone up, so tracks and purses are being more supported than they were. But just knowing some of those, I think it can work on the fixed odds side.
What's your general move forward here, Frank? Would you try to push push is the wrong word. Have fixed odds largely as a win play show kind of feature?
Oh, I think that's where the interest would be. I think parimutuel is still by far the better option for multi-leg races or multi-tier wagers or multi-leg wagers. That's always going to be, I think, where that resides. But the fixed odds wagering, I think offers. You can lock in that price and you can see what your payout is immediately. I think that's very attractive to bettors. Yeah. If I do a parlay on 3 different sports teams and Ellie De La Cruz, they hit a home run, I can immediately see what that payout will be, and I can decide to take it or not. In terms of what to watch, if this happens in New York, and then I think you have enough players to see if this can really work, and you have such a popular circuit in NYRA, so you would have that number of players that you need, and you would also have a very popular racing circuit. And I think then we would get a gauge on, we would get an understanding of if this can work or not.
Last one, Frank. How unusual is a guy like Dennis Drazin? And I'm not in any kind of negative way, but willing to go to court like this, willing to litigate this in a way that's different than waiting on state legislatures and that sort of thing. Yeah. He's a really unusual character too, because he's in a wagering Hall of Fame. I mean, because he's so forward thinking on these kinds of issues, Frank. How much of a whale is this guy? He's up.
Well, I mean, when you look at just how big sports wagering is in this country, how many people are going to remember that a relatively small track, mid-tier track, Monmouth Park, really led the charge on making this happen? I mean, it's quite incredible when you think of the billions of dollars in wagering that have been opened up. That he was definitely one. Monmouth was the point track, and Dennis was the point person on this. I mean, he's just committed to finding a way to make racing work in 2025, and that's all. Whatever year you want to say, that's been his commitment, and it's great to see. If you're not if parimutuel's going down slightly each year, find a different way. If you're not getting casino type wagering at the track in New Jersey, find a different way. So, and sports wagering was a way that I'm sure when he first brought it up, he was told a million reasons why it's not going to happen. And sure enough, they made it happen. So it's quite incredible. And I think everyone involved does realize that you need more players and more tracks, big time. I think if New York comes on board, we'll kind of see if this can work.
We are prepping the magazine for August. What should we be looking for there, Frank?
Oh, we've talked about the Wayne Lucas tribute, and that just came out. So that's out in the print edition. Website and daily, things are really picking up at Saratoga, and fortunately we have Sean and others up there. this week we'll have the roundtable where the Jockey Club kind of outlines issues that it's thinking about and outlines its activities. So that's always a big industry news story. And then Friday is the Racing Hall of Fame, so that'll be huge. Then a big racing weekend, which you guys have thoroughly covered, and then right into the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga sale. So just a very busy week on track and off coming up in Saratoga.
There you go. All right, Frank, we appreciate it. Again, QR code at the bottom of the screen there. If you happen to be watching on YouTube or Spotify, you can subscribe to the magazine, get it sent straight to your house. Beautiful photos and all the great stuff that Frank just mentioned. I wanted to ask you about one more thing, and now I am totally blanking on what it is. Oh, what was I going to ask Frank about? Oh, man. Oh, you know what? You would have been really proud, actually. It's not even that. It's a comment. Sean and I were at the Haskell. You know who dominated the Haskell and in the media room? Bobby Hull. Bobby E dominating. It was great. Just the dean of the room. The guy was doing great. So there you go. Catch Bob up at Saratoga too.
Yeah, Bob has just been a point so critical to our racing coverage and just does a great job day in and day out. And you can read him every day at bloodhorse.com. He also contributes to the magazine and the daily newsletter. So he's on all our platforms.
Yeah, he's a busy guy. Good guy, Bobby Hull. All right. Well, thank you, Frank. Another good guy down there at BloodHorse. Talk to you next week.
Thanks, Louie.
All right, there you go. All right, so we'll visit with Frank. Little dollars and cents, little fixed odds. I'm not going to ask you about it because I know how you feel. Let's move on to the races this coming weekend. And you're wrong. All right, so let's get into the next couple of races here this weekend. But hey, the Whitney field comes up the way that it does, Sean. And these are, it's one thing for us to watch a bunch of horses announce as 3-year-olds their connections, at least, hey, we're going to race at 4. Hey, our 4-year-old's going to race at 5. It's one thing to hear it, and then it's another to see it on paper and see it in the past performances. And then eventually in the starting gate, we've already had this moment of one of these races, a couple of them, frankly. The Churchill Downs on Derby Day stands out as one of these races that we had a collection of these older horses. Then, of course, the Stephen Foster, also at Churchill this summer. This one at Saratoga here. Here are the names, folks. Skippy Longstocking, Highland Falls, Mama's Gold, Sierra Leone, Disarm, White Abarrio, Contrary Thinking, Fierceness, and Post Time. Sean, this is the good stuff, man. The only horse missing from this is Mind Frame, of course, but ownership.
Well, he's there, but not.
He's available. Yeah,
he's available if needed. But
anything stand out about this field? Is there an upset winner in here? Maybe to you? Anything stand out?
Well, I think just the main standout is, as you said, this is at the start of the year when we looked at this division. It's races like this that we were so excited about, where they all are healthy. They're all here, minus Mind Frame. But we'll see him at the Jockey Club Gold Cup. But
okay.
I mean, everybody's here that you would. I mean, maybe you'd want Nisos to have come out for this. Maybe First Mission, Mystic Dan. There's still a couple of horses maybe that we're missing, but we're getting one of these big time matchups. We're gonna see what Sierra Leone is made of. After he showed signs of his old self in the Stephen Foster, we're gonna see if Fierceness and White Abarrio can bounce back off the Met Mile defeats. And on top of that, you have a horse like Post Time. Mm-hmm. Who, always gives his all. He can run at several different distances. He ran very well in this race last year. And so you have a horse like him and Skippy Longstocking who always shows up. So you have the top tier, you have a good supporting kind of B tier that could jump up and win this race if it works out for them. And then you even have some of your longer shots like Disarm, who could potentially, I wouldn't be shocked if he put it all together and something happened and he ended up winning this race. So it's a good field top to bottom. This is exactly what we want. It's really deserving of the title of being a Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race.
Yeah, it's a grade one for sure. There are grade ones and then there are grade ones, and this is a grade one for sure. I talked earlier about that Bing Crosby kind of being a graduation grade one. This ain't it.
Yeah, no, this is the you are a grade one.
This is you're the best horse in your division race, period. That's what this is.
Yeah. And the Whitney, the Whitney really in the last, it's always been one of the big races, but I think especially with, the Breeders' Cup being where it is and a lot of kind of the old New York schedule kind of being moved around, the Whitney has really kind of turned into that highlight race of the summer, that if you have one of the best classic division horses, you're going to be in the Whitney. And we're seeing that this year. We're seeing we have a really deep classic division this year for sure.
No doubt about it. Should be a fun one there on Saturday. Sean will be on hand as Bobby Holt will as well. How about that? And more Bob mentions on the show. We need to get Bob on here. All right. Well, he's Sean Collins. I'm Louie Rabaut. This has been another rendition of a BloodHorse Monday, 26th edition of it. Halfway through the year already, Sean. How about that?
I know. I can't believe it. We're just moving right along.
Halfway through the year on this show. Again, subscribe to the magazine, QR code at the bottom of the screen for you there. If you are watching on YouTube or Spotify. If you happen to be listening and not watching, you are certainly welcome to come watch us as well. You can see Perry Ouzts' smiling face along with the beautiful library that is the Frank Angst office. So go ahead and check those things out there on the video. But of course, subscribe to the magazine, get that sent to your house, and make that coffee table in your house just a little bit brighter today. For Sean, Frank, Perry, and of course, Gabby Gaudet. My name's Louie Rabaut. Thanks for hanging out with us on BloodHorse Monday. We'll be back next week, and we'll know the Whitney winner by then. Have a great rest of the week, everybody.
The BloodHorse is dedicated to the improvement of thoroughbred breeding and racing for over 100 years. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and save BloodHorse Monday on all your platforms. For the latest news, analysis, and insights, visit us at bloodhorse.com.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.